Welcome to SamTalks episode 2. Today we're getting into the nitty gritty of one of aviation's more exciting, albeit unwanted phenomenon, compressor stalls. Now, don't let that get you, because I promise by the end of this episode you will have a better idea of why your engine might decide to throw a tantrum, and more importantly, how to keep it from happening. So, picture this. You're cruising along at 30,000 feet, or perhaps 35,000 feet. Everything smooth, and then suddenly the engine has what can only be described as a hiccup, and not the cute kind. We're talking a full on airflow disruption. Welcome to the world of compressor stalls. And no, it's not as dramatic as it sounds. Well, most of the time. So, what exactly is a compressor stall? Simply put, it's when the airflow through the compressor of a jet engine doesn't follow the neat and tidy path it's supposed to. Kind of like when someone jumps the queue at your favorite food stall and everything just goes out of the whack. Except instead of your lunch being delayed, in an aircraft, this misbehavior in the airflow can cause a temporary drop in engine performance. And no, that's not exactly what you'd want mid flight. Now, compressor stalls aren't new. They've been around as long as jet engines have. Back in the early days of aviation, around the 1940s and 50s, when engines like the General Electric J31 were some of the first turbojets in widespread use, compressor stalls were far more common. Early jet engines were simpler and thus much more prone to these disruptions. But here's the fun bit: those early aviation engineers, Sir Frank Whittle and others, of course, worked overtime to find solutions, eventually developing better blade designs and engine control systems to reduce stalls. So while they didn't go away completely, modern engines can handle these stalls much simpler or much easier. Okay, let's get a bit more technical. The compressor stalls are usually caused by something called an adverse pressure gradient. What's that? Well, in layman's terms, when the angle of attack on the engine plates becomes too steep, often due to high throttle settings or turbulence, the airflow separates from the plates. Instead of flowing smoothly through the engine, it swirls and disrupts the process. Now, modern jet engines are designed to handle this better than the older ones, thanks to things like the variable stator vanes, which are mechanical devices that adjust the angle of the compressor plates depending on flight conditions. Essentially, they act like airflow bouncers, keeping everything in line even when the going gets rough. But don't get too comfy just yet. Even today's sophisticated systems cannot completely eliminate stalls, especially during sudden engine maneuvers or extreme weather conditions. In fact, one of the high profile incidents of compressor stalls actually occurred on a Boeing 787 Dreamliner during a test flight back in 2010 or 11. I'm not sure. There's a cross check that, please. That led to an engine flameout, and while it landed safely, it did lead to improvements in the Trent 1000 engines designed by Rolls Royce. And speaking of Rolls Royce, there's been some buzz in the aviation world recently about the company's continued development of the Ultrafan engine, which is expected to set new efficiency records. One of the key goals for this new engine family is to further reduce the chances of compressor stalls thanks to even smarter airflow control systems and lightweight composite fan blades. Alright, so what's the big takeaway from all this? Compressor stalls are still a thing, but they're less likely to ruin your day at 30,000 feet than they used to be. Thanks to decades of engineering advancements, engines are more resilient and quicker to recover from these disruptions. And let's face it, when we fly, we're counting on those engines to keep us moving smoothly. That's all for today's episode of Sam Talk. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into compressor stalls. I hope you found this episode engaging and, dare I say, a little less scary than the idea of an engine hiccup mid flight. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and share this with your friends. Until next time, I'm your host Sam signing off. Keep the blue side up.